What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and got another one for you. We're getting ready to play our second preseason game coming up on Friday, so that is right around the corner. It's against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay. We are currently doing joint practices with them, so that's kind of like the big thing, I guess, going on for this week. Is the joint practices. There's actually several things that I want to talk about. So I'm just gonna get right into it. I might jump around a little bit. Before I do though, in regard to the upcoming preseason game, I will be doing a live stream for that, as I did last week for last week's game. So just to put it out there, I'm going to be watching it on NFL Game Pass. NFL Game Pass does give you the ability to, live stream all of the preseason games. There's only 3 left. We already have had one. And then obviously it allows you to rewatch games as well. I generally use NFL Sunday Ticket during the season for all the games that are on Sundays, and then my father has an Amazon Prime account. I used to have one, but there's no point in both of us having one, so he's got an Amazon Prime account. I usually use that for like Mondays and Thursday night games because those don't come on Sunday Ticket or whatever. So those are the ways that I watch the games. I can't stream the game. Like, I'm not allowed to. It's against the law. It's against YouTube's regulations. They will take down the live stream. They'll give me a warning, and after a couple times, then they can ban me from doing live streams. So just to try to head off those questions, I can't. So yeah, but that's part of the reason why I tell you, the ways that I can watch it. So the preseason games, like I said, NFL Game Pass, it's $100 a year, which, to me is not that bad. It's a yearly, it's an annual fee, and it's $100 a year. So it's like, not that bad. It's like $8 a month or something like that. Anyway, so, and you get the, you can watch all the preseason games live. So that's how I'll be watching it. Also, they do have a free trial. It's only 7 days. So, but, interestingly enough, let me see calendar. Where's my calendar? It might be, because the game is on Thursday. Yeah, if you get the game is on Friday, excuse me, and then the following game is on a Thursday. So you actually, if you do it right, you actually might even get to squeeze in the next 2 games under the free trial if you do it this week, for free. And then you can decide if you want to, pay for it after that. It looks like it actually might line up all right, because it's only 6 days. It's a 7-day free trial, and it's only 6 days from Friday's game that we play our 3rd preseason game, which is, the dress rehearsal game where, we expect the starters will play, more. Yeah. So you might be able to do that. You should definitely look into that if you guys don't have a way to watch the game, because it'd be great if you guys could watch along with me. Obviously, I'll be talking through it and stuff as I watch it, but it's great if you guys can watch it too. So I definitely will be doing a live stream for that, so make sure you guys are tuned in and join me for that if you can. That'd be great. It was a lot of fun last time. We had some good conversations and stuff, and it was interesting, and it was my first time doing it, so it was a lot of fun. It was new, it was exciting, and I look forward to doing it again. So I'm looking forward to doing that on Friday. So getting into all the news and stuff. The first thing that I want to talk about is Preston Williams. He's apparently still just killing it. Look, man, here's the thing. This kid mark my words, as long as he doesn't, and let's all hope, pray, whatever, whatever it is you do, that he doesn't get hurt, have any kind of serious injury. We've had a ton of injuries already. We have, like, almost all of our safeties are banged up. Walt Aikens, TJ McDonald, Rashad Jones, like all of them. We'll actually get into that a little bit more in a bit. But anyway, so, I mean, let's hope that he doesn't get hurt, but he can come in and be what Devontae Parker was supposed to be, right? And I think this kid has the opportunity and the ability to become like a star, like a legit star at wide receiver in this league, like not just a number one receiver for the team, but also, a big body, go up, get it, 50-50 ball kind of guy, but also, like in the league, like he could be, top rated with guys like, I don't know who I'm going to compare him to exactly, but I'm just saying he could be in the top, before long, maybe not this year, but before long, he could be in the top 5 discussion with guys like, Julio Jones and Antonio Brown and, Hopkins, from the Texans, right? I don't know why I can't think of his name right now. Or, goddamn, I'm blanking. The Tyreek Hill, right? Like all these guys, like, upper echelon. I think he could be that guy. Now, obviously, like Tyreek Hill's a smaller, faster guy. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not, maybe Antonio Brown, he'd be closer to, I guess, is like far as body type and stuff out of all of those guys. Anyway, but so I think this kid can be a star. Anyway, so there was definitely a highlight. You should check it out. It was on Bleacher Report and on Twitter and stuff like that. I think I retweeted it. There was a video, because they're doing the joint practices with Tampa Bay. There was a video where he made one of the Tampa Bay defensive backs look silly. I'm not going to lie. Like, he shook the dude twice in the same route and made him look foolish. And, there's a lot of hype being made over that. But see, that's the thing, right? So let's juxtapose a little bit real quick between the differences between like him and Devontae Parker. They're similar in height. Parker, I think, is 6'3". I think he is 6'5". That is Preston Williams. I believe he is 6'5". But they got about the same build and all that good stuff. They're supposed to be able to do the same things. High point the ball, go up and get it, 50-50s, whatever, right? Box guys out, blah, blah, blah. So, but the difference, there's a couple differences. One, obviously, Preston Williams is a little bit younger, a few years younger. Two, he hasn't already had 4 years in the league to have an opportunity to prove himself. What Devontae Parker has proven is that he's oft injured, and when he does play on the field, his production and effort are, just right? So, that is an issue. But so far, now, to be fair, it obviously is a very small sample size, but so far, it's an extremely small sample size. But so far, not only has he, been getting the hype in practice and showing out in practice and all that stuff like Devontae Parker has, but he has, in the one game he's played, like, super shown out. Now, he's got to do it again, obviously, right? And so, we'll see how he does. I mean, the Tampa Bay defensive backs are going up against him in practice right now, so let's see how they do when they get into a game. Now, he apparently seems to be embarrassing them in practice, right? So, let's see if that continues into the game. I would hope so. And already as it is, Preston Williams is definitely, gonna vie for playing time early on and with the starters. So, definitely look out for that in the coming weeks as we progress through the preseason. But I'm super excited for this kid. I think that he's got massive upside and potential, and he could be that number one receiver that we need. Now, we still have massive problems elsewhere, like on the offensive line, and the quarterback situation is not that great, which I have more on in a little bit. But I think this kid could be, something special for us. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so getting into the next thing. There have been, talks and rumors that the Dolphins might trade for, excuse me, I'm sorry, my nose is running a little bit, for Jadeveon Clowney. Now, I hadn't reported on this yet. But this is a few days old, but there are updates. So real quick, I'm going to go through this article. Houston Texans pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney could be on the move, but it doesn't appear as though he is headed to the Dolphins. Armando Salguero of the Miami Herald reported the Dolphins will not be trading for Clowney because they want to keep as many assets as possible to acquire the top quarterback in the draft next season. Now, we're going to pause right there for a quick second. So first and foremost, Armando Salguero is a pretty, well-known, respected reporter for the Miami Herald. He's got, a lot of access to the Dolphins. He's always there, during any of their media stuff, blah, blah, blah. He knows people in the building, so on and so forth. So he's a relatively connected and trusted, reliable source. Generally, the things that he says, are accurate and so on and so forth, right? Whereas Omar Kelly, he's just kind of like back and forth. And he contradicts himself a lot. Anyway, I don't want to get onto that. So anyway, there's that. Also, I want to say as far as trading for him, I would not do that. Absolutely. And it does not seem like they are going to, so that's good. And their reasoning, I partly agree with, right? I half agree with it, I half disagree with it. So what I mean by that is because the reason why I wouldn't trade for him is because he's too big a name, too high profile. It's going to come with too large of a price tag that we don't need to be spending that kind of money on. Also, he does have a bit of an injury history that is a little concerning. And again, I mean, I don't know how many times I or other people have to say this. One person doesn't make an entire team or an entire squad or whatever. It's 11 dudes on the field for your team at a time. And so you need a well-rounded team. So you want to, anyway, so you guys get the idea with that. So I don't think, and again, having with all of that, the injury history, he's getting older. He's like in his prime right now, but he's not fresh out of college. He's a few years into the league now, right? He has been productive, but again, he has an injury history. It's going to come with, too high a price tag, all that stuff, right? So considering that, I wouldn't give away, draft capital. We need that for next year, right? Because we have glaring holes that need to be filled and fixed. Now, I've been talking about it for a while, and I've said that, from my perspective, regardless of what happens this year, I mean, unless we like super ball out and like Josh Rosen proves like without a shadow of a doubt that he, by like becoming super fire this season, right? And taking us to the playoffs and winning a game or two in the playoffs, barring that, we're going to draft a quarterback next year. And not only are we going to draft a quarterback, we're going to draft one high, which means that, the Ryan Fitzpatrick and Josh Rosen saga and experiment is going to effectively be a waste. And then we will have just, spent a ton of draft capital in that position for absolutely, essentially no reason, because it's not really going to benefit us at all. Because again, if they do that, then they will have neglected the offensive line yet again. Now, to be completely clear, again, the only way that won't happen is if we super ball out. If that happens, the offensive line has to super ball out and prove that they didn't need to take an offensive lineman high in the draft this year, that they don't need to take one or invest in it next year, right? And that they could, theoretically afford to take a quarterback high and get your franchise guy, whatever the fuck. But again, without an offensive line, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, how high you draft him, whatever, he's going to struggle and have a hard time if he's not protected. So if we have a terrible season, that makes everything just even worse, because then if they take a quarterback high in the draft, then it shows that they are just blatantly ignoring something that is far more important. And then not only that, but then they would also be saying that, we sold it to the fan base that Josh Rosen was going to be potentially our franchise guy, but kind of lying about that. We just wanted to do that just so that way, you know, we could tell people that there was hope and that we were doing something about it, and that we could also use that as a distraction or whatever to get away from the fact that we're neglecting really the more important thing, right? In the area, and this predates, Brian Flores, right? It's been like this for years, right? Back through the Philbin era and stuff like that, right? Ryan Tannehill was the most sacked quarterback in the league for the first 4 years of his career from 2012 to 2016 because of the terrible offensive line and the neglect that this franchise has had in that regard. Now, everybody's going to hate me for this, but I think that God damn it, Adam Gase was starting to do the right things. He drafted Laramie Tunsil, right? They were trying to work things out with Juwan James and patch up the rocky relationship that was had there. And I think that part of the reason why he decided to leave was because Adam Gase got booted and he could see that this franchise is just falling apart. There's no loyalty, blah, 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 all that stuff. And so, because he brought in Kilgore and Sitton, who in the short time that they played, to be fair, yes, they didn't play most of the year, but that was because of injuries that could happen to anybody. And sure, they were older guys and it's more likely, but they were proven veterans, and you needed some guys like that because you can't get you can't fill your entire offensive line with first round picks or whatever, in that draft, in that one particular draft. Like, you can't get them all at once. You couldn't even, you can't draft an offensive lineman for 4 straight, rounds. Like, that's ridiculous too. You have other needs. So you obviously got to fill through free agency at some point and supplement a little bit. And I thought he did well. They were proven guys with track records, right? And, who had high PFF scores, who had good production, who showed good things on tape, who, were in winning programs. And I can't remember who it is, but one of them, I want to say it was Sitton, had a ring, right? A Super Bowl ring. I could be wrong about that. I don't remember. But, and then that's part of the reason why I'm saying that Adam Gase got fired too soon, because all of the things, all the problems that we had in years 2 and 3 were things that were completely out of his control. But I thought that he was instilling the right culture and doing the right things and so on and so forth, blah, blah, blah. And he wasn't given the full opportunity. There's gonna be roadblocks and things to overcome and adversity and stuff like that. It's gonna happen, especially when you exceed all expectations to the level that they did in the first year. Obviously, you're going to have to come back down to earth. You're going to get grounded a bit, and then you need to bounce back. But he wasn't given the opportunity. And so everything that he did got, shredded, reset, and everything got taken back down to ground zero. And now that's where we're at here. Anyway, so I do like that, the concern is that they don't want to give draft capital for the guy. But my problem with it is that they have the expectation that they're going to go out and get a quarterback in round 1. So anyway, there's that. Moving on though. In this whole saga of who's going to be the quarterback, I think Ryan Fitzpatrick will probably end up starting the season out. But, there's obviously he's fallen back down to earth. After his really hot start to training camp, which of course is predictable. Who could have seen that coming? Oh, I don't know. Right? So, of course that happened. And then so naturally the gap's going to close because Ryan Fitzpatrick started to fumble and be his same old self. That doesn't necessarily mean that Rosen closed it. Now, to be fair, I would say that he did close it a bit, but not really that much. By his own doing. And frankly, from his showing this past week, he's shown to still have a lot of the same, issues and show the same mistakes that he did last year. He still shows that he has a long way to go, and the offensive line didn't help him, right? So, He made some really good decisions, but he also made some terrible decisions. And so the really good decisions are examples of why I say that I believe he can be a good quarterback, right? The examples of the bad decisions show why he's not there yet. The offensive line breakdowns show why and the struggles he had in that regard show why he's not in a situation that is going to be conducive to his success. He's not being helped out, right? He went from a team that had a terrible offensive line last year, and, that showed why he needs to grow and how much farther he still needs to go, and how much he struggled, right? To a place that's not any better. Not any better. So I don't know why people think he's going to magically have this resurgent season. It's ridiculous. Also, last year, he didn't have a veteran guy to even compete with, right? So it's crazy. Anyway, but Brian Flores had some things to say. Because, he talked about how Fitzpatrick is still, ahead of him, but Rosen does seem to be improving, and he is closing the gap and all that stuff. But here's some things he had to talk about. So this is a short article. It's on Pro Football Talk by Shireen Williams. God damn it. And it's Brian Flores wants better body language from Josh Rosen. So that is one thing if you watch the game or whatever, and if you watch the tape. And I actually even commented about this a little bit. There was one time where he made this really not good throw, and I mentioned about how his feet weren't set, and his shoulders weren't square and stuff like that, blah blah blah. I didn't say anything about the shoulders, I think, but I did talk about his feet not being set, whatever, right? And so it's true. You can see, I'm not a super expert. I'm not a quarterbacks coach. I didn't play football in high school. I played a lot of backyard football, but certainly not organized. So I'm by no means an expert, but I think I can tell. I think I've been watching football and hearing the experts and stuff talk about it long enough now that, yeah, I can see that his body wasn't right a lot of the time. Anyway, with the regular season quickly approaching, Josh Rosen remains the backup in Miami. Rosen is making progress, but Dolphins coach Brian Flores still is looking for more from the second-year quarterback. Rosen didn't hide his disgust at one stretch of plays with the starters in a joint practice against the Bucs on Tuesday. He took 3 sacks and the Dolphins had a false start, according to Chris Perkins. So that's in practice this week, and that's not reason to believe that things are going to improve. Flores didn't hide his annoyance with Rosen's annoyance. I thought he practiced okay, Flores said. From the naked eye, I think he's got to do a better job of getting guys in and out of the huddles, communication, body language. Those are major things. And the longer that those problems persist, the less guys are going to trust him, right? And that is huge and majorly problematic. But again, it's not all his fault, and he's not being helped out here because the offensive line is not very good. Anyway, there were some plays there he didn't like, and we've just got to move on to the next play. Rosen is conscious of his body language, having worked on it at UCLA and with the Cardinals. He vows to continue working on it. That's good, and he should, but apparently he hasn't made that much progress to this point. I think especially when you get it. Anyway, so, essentially, like I said, he's still showing to have a lot of the same issues that he did last year and throughout his time at UCLA. And again, he's not, he could really be a good quarterback at some point. He's just not being helped out, Going to Arizona and being in that situation, they're not doing him any favors. They're not setting him up for success there, and it's not here. So they're just prolonging and pushing, and they're stalling his development and stuff like that because of the things that they're doing, right? The Cardinals and now us. And so anyway, I think that's only, spells, more problems. Anyway, so here's another article from Pro Football Talk, and I've seen this, around a little bit from other places too, but here's more potential drama and problems. And unfortunately now it's with, our number 1 pick from last year. But speaks to more of the same things that I've been talking about, how, this team doesn't really show to have any, loyalty or care about their own players. Adam Gase was trying to make that a super big point in his, time with the team is let's take care of our own guys. Let's stop fucking, obviously they're not going after Jadeveon Clowney, but, let's stop with the high-priced free agents, as much as possible. Obviously, they made a costly and more than one-way mistake with Jay Cutler, but, under the circumstances, it was, pretty reasonable. Because like I said, the only person I would have taken above him would have been Colin Kaepernick, but for PR purposes, political reasons, blah, 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 they weren't going to do that. Anyway, so, yeah, so I don't know, to me, and not only that, but, there was, Stephen Ross did say that, there were reports about how Stephen Ross was like, not, on board with the pick. Anyway, Dolphins safety Minkah Fitzpatrick was busy practicing Wednesday, but his mom had his back, and he thinks she has a point. While the Dolphins were on the field this morning, Fitzpatrick's mother, Melissa, responded to a tweet from Dolphins beat writer Omar Kelly of the South Florida Sun-Sentinel suggesting that her son was struggling. And he tweeted, "I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but Minkah Fitzpatrick isn't playing well." And now, his mother said, "No, you would never want to do that. Maybe it's because he is not a strong safety and is being used to suit other people's skill set, not his own. But let's just keep ripping him because we know it breaks your heart to do that." So essentially what she's saying there is that he's a free safety. That's where he should be playing. Now, in part of it, and what we're realizing, as this all progresses, is that our safeties are getting banged up. TJ McDonald, Rashard Jones, and Walt Aikens are all banged up. But also, they're moving Bobby McCain to safety when he should be a corner. He should be the slot corner. Have him man the fucking slot corner. Stop this stupid experiment. I mean, look, can he play there? Maybe. Can he do well and at a high level? Maybe. But again, with the guys on the team and everything, with the way this team is made up, just fucking, he's good there. Minkah's good at free safety. Xavier's got the one cornerback spot. We got some guys fighting for that second one. You put the best guy out on the field. Get your fucking other safeties healthy so they can man that strong safety spot, because we have good guys that can play at a high level, starters and backups. And then, you have other young defensive backs in camp. You got a ton of them, so figure that out. But put the guys in the places that they're going to do their best and that you don't have to worry about those spots. This is creating all kinds of, and like having them move around in training camp is one thing, but now we're into the preseason. Season's right around the corner. You need to get this figured out and you need to do it right. And he's this supposed like defensive minded genius, whatever that everybody's making him out to be. Now, obviously everybody said the same thing about Gase, and now everybody's opinion of him is that he's not, which again, I don't think was anywhere near his fault. It was the fact that he had to take this terrible offensive line and rebuild it, which he started doing and did a good job of. Anyway, but, But let me continue on with this though. After practice, the versatile defensive back who plays corner, safety, even linebacker at times admitted that being an in-the-box safety might not exactly suit him. "It is what it is," Minkah Fitzpatrick said via the Adam Beasley of the Miami Herald. "She's being honest and saying how she feels. There's nothing wrong with it. I wish she would have addressed me first and talked to me first before it happens, but it is what it is. She feels very strongly. She's not wrong. Coach has asked me to do something right now. I got to do what they asked me to do. If we have to have some discussions in the future, we'll have those." So we've seen this time and time again with the Dolphins, right? And we've seen reports over the years about this on various players, and the players more often than not always say the politically correct thing, right? And the morally high ground thing, right? "Oh, it is what it is. I'm just doing what the coaches are asking me to do. Whatever they need is whatever they'll get, blah blah blah." But sometimes they're a little more direct with it than others, but you know, it always comes out at some point that, yeah, you know, they didn't like it, and, you know, they know what they're good at. These players know what they're good at. Do they sometimes need some, you know, do they need coaching, and do they need, you know, stuff from, you know, their coaches? Yes, right? Obviously. Do they always know right? No, you know, but they know themselves, and they know what, you know, so they need to have that input. And anyway, just whatever. The Dolphins are running short at the moment with Rashad Jones, TJ McDonald, and Walt Aikens all injured. So Bobby McCain's been working at free safety, forcing Fitzpatrick into an unnatural position for a 207-pound player. Health for other players will likely solve this problem, and the 2018 first-rounder acknowledged this will probably be a temporary assignment, and you hope so. And that's the thing, too, is if you're putting him in a position that doesn't suit his body type, he could get hurt. Anyway, whatever. Because people just don't think about these things. And especially, like, I mean, from my perspective, the NFL just doesn't care about those kinds of things. All they care about is money and blah, blah, blah. Now, I mean, it could be, it's obviously probably a lot different for the coaches. You know, I mean, I would think, at least I would hope, that they care about their players a little bit more than that. But at the same time, the way, you know, Brian Flores decided he wanted to support, you know, the racist supporting owner. Look, I mean, we'll get into more of that in a minute, but, you know, I lost a lot of respect for Brian Flores because he decided not to support his player who's doing the right thing. Anyway, you just got to do it. Wait, where was I? They don't expect to win every single snap against a 320-pound tackle, he said. They just want me to do my job. They're not going to put me in situations where I have to do that every single play. They know where my strengths are. You just got to do it, man. If you resist it, you're not going to play well. If you think about playing somewhere else, you're not going to make the most of your position. I'm not 215. I'm not 220, so playing in the box isn't best suited for me, but that's what coach is asking me to do. I'm going to go out there and practice my hardest. He deserves credit for being honest about the situation. You can forgive his mother for doing what a parent is there to do. Yeah, abso-fucking-lutely. And look, I mean, bruh, I'm telling y'all, recipe for disaster. Y'all, like, a lot of people just want to, like, shit on me or whatever. I don't care. A lot of people want to criticize whatever. I don't care. A lot of people want to ignore this shit like it's nothing. Like, it doesn't fucking matter, and you know, it doesn't factor into how things are going to turn out for this season, for this regime, for the future of this franchise and organization, but it does. It all has ramifications. And people like to pick and choose, cherry pick, you know, little bits and pieces of things that you know, defend their argument without giving the full context, without honestly giving the facts. And it's absolutely ridiculous. All right, so moving on a little bit. So going on to this, you know, drama between Kenny Stills and the owner, there's more information. Kenny Stills, no beef with Dolphins owner Steve Ross over Trump fundraiser. Miami Dolphins wide receiver Kenny Stills has said the relationship between him and team owner Stephen Ross is fine after criticizing Ross's decision to hold a fundraiser for President Trump's re-election campaign. Although there have been reports that he has been starting to distance himself from Stephen Ross's organization, Rise, because of these things. And look, I've said, look, he's done a lot of great things, but this is inexcusable. If you support, you know, a person who is a racist and does racist things and has racist policies, especially when they are a person who is in a position of power to actually have, you know, effects, you know, to actually affect people's lives, that is a big thing. That is a huge thing. And, you know, a major reason why now I'm completely off on Ross. I don't think his football decisions are great and have been just not good, period, really, over the years. And now this, right? And he's a fucking billionaire, so it's really not even that a surprise. Now, again, to be fair, because he is a mixed bag at this point, and he has done wonderful things. He's the only owner that paid, you know, $500 million of his own money, but he is a billionaire, and he makes so much off of this that that's nothing for him, right? So, you know, honestly, he doesn't get that much credit in that regard when you put everything together. We agreed to disagree, and that was it, Still said, per Hal Habib of the Palm Beach Post. There's not much to argue about, he added. He has his feelings about it, and he stands firm in that, and I respect that. But I disagree, and I told him there's no hard feelings. There's no beef, and let's win some games this year. See, and that's, that's Kenny Stills being the good man that he is. But I disagree with him on that. I'd be a lot fiercer with it because... that side of the world, the Republican side of the world, the racists, the biggest, the misogynists, the fucking, those people, they don't have any problem. As much as they want to, shit on the left for being aggressive anytime we're aggressive or outspoken or whatever, blah, 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 anytime we protest and shit like that, they don't have any fucking problem with being violent, right? Like, to the point of killing people, like literally killing people in this country every day, right? So, no, he needs to be, in my opinion, stronger. But this is, and I get it though too. It is also his livelihood. He doesn't want to get blackballed, like Colin Kaepernick and whatever, right? So I get that, but and he still does his protests and stuff. So like, I think he should be more aggressive, but I can't hate on it, But no, Ross is totally wrong. Stills argued that supporting Trump and his platform was at odds with the mission statement of Ross's charity, RISE, the Ross Initiative in Sports for Equality. And that's absolutely true, because it is. You can't support a dude who has these kinds of policies that affect everybody in this country, literally affect everybody. It's not theoretical, right? He's ripping children from their parents at the border, right? Like he's, destroying the healthcare system even more so than it was. He gave, a $2 trillion tax cut to the wealthy, and because of that, he's got to pay for it somehow. So cut Social Security and Medicare. Cut, social programs that help, the average American. He's destroying the economy. It's going to burst the bubble at some point, right? He's destroying education in this country. He's destroying everything that anyway, so you can't support that guy, and I'm just saying, there's this term, racist by proxy, or whatever, or there's the by proxy, but he is. Anyway, I don't want to continue on that for too much. Stills has since stepped away from RISE, citing everything that's kind of taken place from the time of the first protest all the way to now. He did say he would continue kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial discrimination and police brutality. Even after meeting with Ross, Stills said he didn't regret publicly criticizing the fundraiser. I would do it the same. I definitely think for a professional matter, the right thing to do would have been to reach out to him first, but through conversations that we have and the history that we have, it gets to a point where I'm just a person that is sharing the message, letting other people know what's happening, and it's not a secret. It wasn't a secret that it was happening, so I just was the messenger. Ross hosted the fundraiser in the Hamptons, which included charging $250,000 a pop from donors for a photo and private roundtable discussion with the president, according to William D. Cohen of the Vanity Fair. And per Habib, the Republican National Committee reported that Ross's fundraiser and one other event the same night raised $12 million, right? And so, look, Americans know, man, this money goes to politicians to influence them into making decisions. Ross is like, he says, oh, well, I'm not a racist, and his racism isn't a deal breaker for me. Why is that? Because, well, he's a rich white dude. He's a billionaire, and he wants those tax cuts, and he doesn't care if, disenfranchised groups in this country get more disenfranchised. He doesn't care about that shit. Certainly not enough to not more than money. So if you care more about money than you do about people's lives, or about protections that the poor have, or that minorities in this country have, then yeah, you might not be outwardly as vicious towards minorities and stuff, and you might allow them in your facilities and blah blah blah, but that doesn't mean you're not racist or that you don't have deep-seated, racist, ideology or tendencies. Fuck that bullshit. Anyway, that shit just fucking irritates me, man. I can't fucking stand it. Anyway, and then there's more, but there is more bad news, unfortunately. So, there are reports that Kenyon Drake in walking boot after injury. So Kenyon Drake apparently got hurt. Now, so far, it seems reports are that he's not, it's not super serious. He shouldn't, be out for too long. Maybe just the rest of the preseason. But that is a big deal. And it's his foot. He is a running back. That could be potentially problematic for him down the line. So don't be surprised if, he re-aggravates it during the season. If he spends the rest of the preseason out to get it, better, good, if that's what's needed. But, there's always a potential for hurting it again during the season. Miami Dolphins running back Kenyon Drake was seen at practice Wednesday in a walking boot. This is Kyle Newport from... let's see, it's a Bleacher Report article. ESPN's Cameron Wolf noted that he left Tuesday's practice early. After practice, head coach Brian Flores told reporters Drake will be out for a while with the injury, but he is hopeful he'll be ready for the start of the regular season. With a gruesome leg injury limited him to 5 games as a junior at Alabama in 2014, Drake has maintained relatively good health through the years. He played in 11-plus games in each of his other 3 seasons with the Crimson Tide, and he has not missed a game through his first 3 years of the NFL. Meanwhile, his career continues on an upward trajectory. The 25-year-old back has gotten better with each season, piling up a career-high 1,012 yards from scrimmage last year, while he ran for 535 yards and 4 touchdowns for Miami in 2018. He added 53 receptions for 477 yards and 5 scores in the passing game. Real quick, I want to stop there because there you go. There are his stats from last year. Once the offensive line started shitting the bed, Adam Gase did the right thing and started using him as a pass-catching back more. Now, he got super criticized for either not using Kenyon Drake enough or using him the wrong way. That proved to be the right way last year, and look at that. Lo and behold, that Brian Flores is probably going to use him the same way. Why? Because it's smart and it's the right thing to do, especially considering the fact that your offensive line is garbage. His ability to break out of tackles has made him effective. According to Pro Football Focus, Kenyon Drake, he has a missed tackles forced attempt .23, tied third among running backs with a minimum of 75 attempts. According to Pro Football Focus's Austin Gailey, Drake is tied for first in the NFL since 2016 in yards after contact per attempt, 3.7. The average for qualified players was 2.3. Meanwhile, Drake has averaged 4.7 yards per carry and 8.1 yards per catch through 3 seasons. 8.1 yards per catch through 3 seasons. That's how you use him effectively. Get that 4.7 yards out of him on the ground, but also get that 8.1 yards through the air. With veteran Frank Gore moving on to the Buffalo Bills in free agency during the offseason, losing Drake to injury would be a big blow to the Miami backfield. Second-year back Kalen Ballage, 247 yards from scrimmage in 2018, would likely take on a bigger role should Drake miss time, though rookie Myles Gaskin may also see significant touches. If Drake's injury causes him to miss the start of the regular season, Ballage seems like a safe bet to assume the starting role. Yes, I would agree with that. Let's see. This video is about 45 minutes at this point. That was a lot. It was definitely a lot to get to. Oh my goodness. Yeah, look, like I've told you guys before, man. I gotta keep it real with you. I gotta just say it like it is, but present the facts, right? So first and foremost, I just want to present the facts with the full context and all that stuff. But then I want to give you, the best, most accurate and honest perspective that I possibly can. And man, it just, look, I saw a lot of good things, and there's a lot of things, players with this team like Preston Williams and so on and so forth. There's a lot of stuff that, is good, but unfortunately, I think the bad is going to outweigh the good. And that's, unfortunately how I see it. We'll see though. I mean, and this is how I'll end it. it's a long season. You know, we're still a few weeks away from kickoff in that first game. And look, you know, preseason game number 2 is coming up on Friday. So, you know, I think generally this is a good rule of thumb, but let's just focus as best we can, 1 week at a time. And, you know, let's try not to get too, you know, out of our heads and into the big picture, because, you know, then I think that it could end up, anyway, it could end up seeming even more bleak that way. So let's just try and focus, you know, 1 game at a time, 1 week at a time, and, you know, just take it slow and do it together, and, you know, see how things go. And again, you know, hopefully I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm wrong about all the things that I think and see and believe about this team or whatever. And hopefully they prove me wrong, man. You know, I said it, that I thought, you know, overall the first preseason game was a step in the right direction to proving me wrong. But, you know, that's after a lot of steps back. So let's see how things go. I am definitely super excited for this upcoming game. Like I said, I am going to do a live stream during the game. I can't show you guys the game, but just one more time, I will be watching it for the preseason. I will be watching it on NFL Game Pass. You can do a free trial. I do believe that if you do the 7-day free trial this week on Friday, like right before the game, I think the free trial will extend long enough to get you the next game, which is on Thursday of the following week, next week. And so, you know, you can avoid having to pay for it for 2 games, I believe. I think it should work out like that. I'm not totally sure on how their billing cycles and stuff work, obviously. So, but it's worth a try. Obviously, you can cancel at any time. So if it didn't seem like it was gonna, you can cancel before that. It's $100 a year. So not too terrible, I would think. But, you know, obviously life's hard for a lot of people these days, so I understand. And then, you know, like I said, during the season, it's usually Sunday ticket for Sunday games and Amazon Prime for Monday and Thursday games. Yeah, and I am excited. You know, the starters should get more playing time, hopefully an entire quarter this game. And so we'll see, man. I am excited. I'm really excited to see Preston Williams again. I want to see, you know, if he can continue what he's been doing and, you know, put more good film out there. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you enjoy my videos. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, make sure you follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.